Hello, rock and rollers. Welcome to the ElectroJet Rock Show. I'm your host, Jett. This is the 46th show. We're doing underrated or overrated. So that's the topic tonight. And tonight we're doing Michael Schenker of UFO and his solo stuff. And some other stuff, too. What do you think, P.E.?
Oh yeah, Michael Schenker, one of my all-time favorites. Just a phenomenal guitar player, and maybe my favorite guitar player of all time. If not, he's right up there in the top 3 or top 5. He's just phenomenal. What's your feeling on it?
Well, why do more people know about Van Halen or Blackmore or Page, but they don't know about Michael Schenker? They know about Stevie Ray Vaughan. They know about Bon Jovi, but they don't know about Michael Schenker.
Yeah, it's criminal. He's criminally underrated, I think.
Yep. Way to go, P.E. Yeah, so we're going to get into that in this show. And thanks for coming along with the ride, the rock and roll ride, as P.E. puts it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Put it on your safety belts, kids, because this show covers a lot of territory for all you hardcore UFO fans and Michael Schenker fans. This show's dedicated to you and to our few but mighty subscribers we have.
Yes, thank you all you subscribers out there, all you 75 people that at least at this point have subscribed to the show. We really appreciate your support. And if you're listening and you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. Love to have you guys along for the rock and roll ride, for sure.
Yeah, you guys are legit, and I have proof of it. Take a look at our banner photo by Ace Steel, friend of mine, composer extraordinaire, songwriter extraordinaire. He took that picture. That's Randy Rhoads in Quiet Riot at the Starwood. We were there. So, you 75 subscribers, you guys are legit. You guys can tell the real deal. That's us. Thank you so much. We love you guys. Yeah, Michael Schenker, what's your thoughts, P.E.?
Well, I've always liked neoclassical guitar players like Ritchie Blackmore and Michael Schenker. I've just always liked those types of chord progressions and just how they mix classical and hard rock together. And what's your feeling? Do you feel that Michael Schenker is of the neoclassical genre? And if so, do you think, do you hear specific classical composers in his music, or what's your feeling on that?
Yeah, he's labeled a neoclassical guy now, but back in the 70s in UFO, and even the, say the first Michael Schenker record, Michael Schenker group, I don't really hear a lot of classical in UFO especially. The classical composer that I do hear in Michael, on some of his later stuff, like his Michael Schenker group, and that ilk would be Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach, Johann Sebastian Bach, mostly. But as far as just having the fire in the belly and just the God-given talent, I'd say in that sense, he's kind of like a Mozart. Definitely with the amount of material he can come up with, all the compositions that he can come up with, and chord progressions and motifs and riffs. The riff to Rock Bottom was like the most complicated, genius thing. That's when I first heard of Michael Schenker, and it was like, okay, man, if you can play that, you're pretty badass. Now it's like, I've been playing for 50 years, or 40 or 30. It's easy compared to like Alan Holdsworth or something.
Right.
But so Kel said, to Randy. And Randy hadn't even heard UFO yet. This is Randy Rhoads I'm talking about. His older brother Kelly brought him rock bottom. So that must have been the Phenomenon album. He played it for him. But before he even played it for him, he said, this guy, he was talking about Michael Schenker, is Mozart reincarnated. So PE, like I was saying, the jumping off point for anything classical would be Bach. And anytime you play a bunch of triads doing a harmonic sequence, circle of fourths, circle of fifths, it's gonna sound like Bach, you know. But it's a very rudimentary thing, really. But it ain't the blues, though. Yeah, we were trying to nail it down because I've never heard Michael talk about.
No, he generally doesn't. I was reading that somebody mentioned he does a lot of Aeolian minor and pentatonics, but he gives it a classical feel, classical styling.
Well, Aeolian, all that is just a minor scale. So I've never heard Michael talk about the classical guys. Have you, Pete?
No, not in the interviews I've heard of. Generally, he's talking about other stuff. He doesn't really talk about that. He talks about his original influences, Page and Beck, and and those guys, but not his classical influences. My feelings on Schenker, I think honestly he could or should be as big as Eddie Van Halen or Blackmore or Page or Beck. But maybe what's held him back is he wants to do his own thing. He always wanted to be his own thing. I think I see some similarities with him and Carlos Santana in that, though Carlos...
But in his mind, it's not holding back. I think he'd have a problem with that.
No,
That's just how it looks to the outside.
From being more popular and being bigger.
Oh,
which he probably didn't want to be. But had he, I said, he could have been as big as Eddie or Blackmore or Page or Beck, but I don't think he wanted to be. He wanted to be more like Santana, where it was which he calls today in some ways, the Michael Schenker Project, where he has people kind of coming in and out, as Blackmore did a little bit in Rainbow.
Well, that's just the reality with those top tier players. They always have a gig, and they always kind of shift around into other bands.
But what I really like about his leads is they are well constructed. They're almost like a storyline. They have an introduction, then there's a plot, there's a building, there's a crescendo, there's a resolution, a resolving at the end, and they're so melodic and so beautiful. And his playing when he's on is so accurate and precise. He's got that great vibrato.
Ridiculously precise.
And as much as I love Eddie Van Halen, I think Eddie Van Halen is a great innovator. Schenker was different. He wasn't a whammy bar guy, but just different in the way he created his sounds. Instead of a whammy bar, he'd bend the neck. Instead of other effects, he was great with that wah pedal. And, he used a flying V in the Marshalls, and, he just had a very distinctive sound and great use of the controlled feedback. His parts were so great too. I heard somebody describe Michael as almost like a Porsche, an Audi, a Mercedes, and a BMW. If you combine them all together, he's just this fine-tuned German machine.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, isn't that great?
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, Michael Schenker, one of my absolute favorites. I just love that neoclassical style. And just the only downside to him, I think, is that some of the songwriting, wasn't as great as his leads were. I think in UFO it was, and I think early MSG, and then over the years some MSG cuts. But I think especially in the 90s, there was some stuff in there that was, he was experimenting. So that's okay, but it just, at least from my perspective, it wasn't really as good as what his leads were. I just think when he was with UFO, man, that was just some of the best rock guitar ever. That's my take. What's your feeling?
Yeah, you know what they used to say about it? Thundering.
Thundering, but also quiet and then building and dynamic. I always like music that's dynamic, it's dramatic.
Come on, man, UFO, man, let it roll. I mean, come on, that's friggin' fun, man. Like Love to Love, oh, that's
Love to Love, and it gets
that's
quiet.
Thundering right there. Those power chords, thundering.
Yeah, and the leads in Love to Love are just so you got to call them beautiful. They're just so melodic and harmonic.
Yeah, like Mozart is beautiful.
It really is. It really is. And, I just think that he's, in my opinion, the most underrated, rock guitar player maybe ever.
No, the most underrated rock anything. Weren't we talking about it like that before?
I think you could make the argument for it. I'm sure there's a few others, that get honorable mention, but from my perspective, he's so underrated.
Come on, P.E., let it rip. He is the most underrated guy in rock and roll ever. Remember you were telling me before?
I'll say that. I'll stand by that. He is.
No, but come on, let him hear it, man, because I thought it was phenomenal.
Yeah, Michael Schenker, the most underrated rock musician maybe ever.
And why?
For all those reasons we just said.
No, but you were saying okay, why isn't he as bad? He doesn't get the press. He does his own thing, and props to him for that now. He didn't want to be an Aerosmith. He didn't want to play He didn't want to play Sweet Emotion or whatever.
He didn't want to be in Kiss either. I mean, all these bands asked him to play. It's like, I think he joined Ratt.
Yeah, but there you go. But out of all the bands, he joined Ratt.
I know. But, it was only for a short time.
Well, they probably had a lot more money than he did at that time. But I could be wrong.
And maybe he needed it. I know that in the early 2000s, he was really hurting for money.
Yeah, because he friggin' burned his house down. You can watch the Rick Rowdy videos. Oh, it's
he's
so
had a lot of
over the
trauma
top.
in his life. How much of it was self-induced and how much of it was, by outside factors. I don't know. I don't live in his world. But
I just thought that was kind of hysterical. It was hysterical in like sort of a Spinal Tap extreme sort of way. But with Michael, you can be, and you got to. The thing is, you got to talk about the music and the playing, and the talent he's had. Actually, I thought the Macaulay Schenker was phenomenal. In fact,
I think Macaulay's a great vocalist too.
Phenomenal.
And he's had some great vocalists in this band. I think Gary Barton, when he was on, was good. I think Derek St. Holmes was incredible. He wasn't with him very long. Macaulay, maybe.
Gary Barton, for him to do what he did on the on like the first Michael Schenker group record, he's got to be a very good boy, man, because he's at the top of his range and all that. And if you're right, you cannot stay up all night and then go do a gig and then stay up all night and then go do another. Maybe get a little sleep. But and man, your voice is going to be shot in 2 gigs if you're singing it in fourth gear all the time. Whereas
that was part of the reason they got Derek St. Holmes, was they were hoping he could take some of the load off of it. But even that. Here's
the thing, though. Getting back to Robin Macaulay. Yeah, and that guy didn't need any of that. That guy has got it. He's like an Irish tenor. I mean, come on, the guy's ridiculous.
He's great.
So I saw them at the Palace on Vine Street on the album after that with the.
What year would you say that was? Recently? The last 5 or 10 years or what?
No. I'm talking about when the album came out in the 80s. Like Love Is Not a Game, and that album is phenomenal, man.
And so how many times have you seen him live? Well, give me your breakdown.
Okay, well, wait a minute, because we were talking about that gig before, and I could not remember the name of the place. It's right across from Capitol Records in Hollywood. It's called The Palace. When I saw him, so I saw him with Michael Schenker group, and it was ridiculous. It was phenomenal. And then like before the encore, they shone the spotlights up in the balcony, and all 5 Scorpions were up there. Man, they put the spotlight on them. Oh, the gig was freaking phenomenal. Props to Mitch Perry, man. Props to Mitch Perry. Great. Oh, yeah, man. What a really good foil for Schenker. You know?
Yeah, once again, also, there's some great acoustic sets that Michael did with the Scorpions. I want to say late 90s, early 2000s, where they played like Holiday, and they played a couple of Michael Schenker songs too that were like on a acoustic solo album he did. And man, his playing was never, it's just so beautiful. Those ones when you got, Klaus on vocals singing too, where the smoke is going down and Send Me an Angel, and oh man, it's great. There's a few different versions. I think the best one is it was live in Poland or Spain, man, I can't remember, but they're on YouTube. You can go and search them. And yeah, but and I saw Michael it's the mid '80s at the Country Club, Reseda Country Club, and
Reseda Country Club. Shout out. Okay,
right.
Let's hear it.
With Gary Barden and with Cozy Powell on drums.
Oh, you saw Cozy.
Oh, it was great.
I can't say I've seen Cozy.
Oh, it was phenomenal. It was great. And I think I'm going to say Paul Raymond on keyboards.
Very likely.
But yeah, man, that was just a great gig. And then I saw Schenker recently at the Canyon Club at Agora here in the San Fernando Valley. And I would say that was like 9 years ago with Doogie White on vocals and the rhythm section from the Scorpions.
Those guys are my heroes, Herman and Francis.
Yeah, it was a great gig also. You can tell they're having a lot of fun together. That seemed like Schenker just seemed like really in a really good mood at that gig. So I've seen Michael maybe one more time besides that. Maybe just those 2 times, I don't remember, but both times I thought he was great. And how many times have you seen him?
Well, I've met Michael two times. Very, very nice guy.
Really?
Complete sweetheart. But I just want to say that, and it meant something. I got his autograph, and he was super cool about it. He signed it. Oh, and then another gig. Oh, okay. So I saw UFO at the Palace, at the same place I saw the Michael Schenker gig. And but that was in 95, I think it was. Oh man. Okay, so that was the reuniting with Schenker and UFO, but the only difference was they had Simon Wright from AC/DC playing the drums. So it was the drumming was kind of different, but they also had the album out on their own label called Walk on Water, and they played this one song called, I think, Venus or something. It's friggin' phenomenal. So I saw him there.
Did you see him at the Santa Monica Civic also?
Well, yeah, okay, so we can talk about that. So, it was the second concert I ever saw. I don't know how old I was, maybe 17, and it was a UFO on the Lights Out tour. Opening for Rush on the Farewell to Kings tour. So that was 1977. Obsession. Wow. I don't even think Obsession had come out yet. And man, that's still to this day, as I've said in other pods. That's one of the greatest gigs I've ever. It's probably about the greatest gig still to this day I've ever seen.
Phenomenal. So, where do you place Michael in the underrated, overrated, just about rated right
Well, as we were discussing it the other day, I thought you made the best point. I mean, we were thinking about it. Is he in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? No. I mean, come on, man. Really?
Yeah, look at all the other people that are already there.
Exactly. But, you know, as we digress, we didn't need to talk about them. But, okay, so that was the first time I saw Michael play. The second time I saw him play, probably the Palace, I guess. So that was in 95. Then I saw him play at the House of Blues. This was after the Unforgiven album. So, needless to say, it friggin' rocked, okay? And then they had the singer from the Unforgiven come up and do the songs that he sang on that album, which was kind of a special bonus. Yeah, the guy's name's Kelly Keeling. Check out Pilot of Your Soul. It's a friggin' masterpiece. That's off the Unforgiven album. But, yeah, the interesting thing was Carmine Appice was playing at, what was that club? Oh, crap, I can't think of it right. Lavalley. Like the next night, and he had my buddy Steve Pfister on guitar, and I was running the sound, and this guy comes up and starts advising me of the sound, and it was Kelly Keeling, who I had just seen. It was like literally the night before at the House of Blues in Schenker, and I'm all like, wait a minute, I just saw it. You're the singer of Michael Schenker, and he said yeah, and he was like giving me sound advice. The guy, he's very, very genius guy, kind of all around musically. But anyway, so he asked me how I did, and I told him he like annihilated it. Yeah, I think that was the word. You annihilated it, dude. So I saw him at the House of Blues. Yeah, man, that was really friggin' cool. That rocked. And then I saw him play at Vamped in Vegas. Good old Counts Vamped on Sahara Boulevard, ladies and gentlemen. Come on down. And it was Michael Schenker, but he had Francis and Herman from the Scorpions playing in the rhythm section. So that was. He's played there a few times since then, so I think that's it. Oh no, and then of course the Macaulay Schenker group at the Palace. Oh, that gig, the one where they shine the spotlights on the Scorpions. all of them were there. Yeah, that man, I cannot overemphasize. I mean, I've seen Van Halen on their first headlining tour at Long Beach Arena. They had it like at 3/4. I mean, I've seen that Macaulay Schenker gig, man. Don't get me wrong, Van Halen friggin' rocked, but I don't know. I think maybe it had to do with the seats or something. But man, that Macaulay Schenker, I love that album, man. No Time for Losers. Love Is Not a Game. Gimme Your Love.
Michael Schenker had, I think a few years back, had the Michael Schenker Fest where he brought in former players that he had before. Gary Barton, Graham Bonnet, Robin McCauley, Chris Glenn, and later I think lately he's invited in Joe Lynn Turner, and so it's kind of like an all-star lineup. And so he's continuing to do it. I don't know that Michael's.
What if he invited Phil Mogg? Would that be weird or what? He'd say, "That's some weird, wild stuff."
You're correct, sir.
Yeah. So, the last time I saw him was at Vamped. And yeah, man, I mean, Michael's playing better than ever. His compositions, he's like on another planet almost. It's ridiculous.
Even his bad gigs sound good. If you go onto YouTube, I don't remember the time I looked on YouTube and found him sounding terrible. And maybe if you look, you could find it, but he just always, even when he's bad, he's good.
Did you see the video? I
finished the.
Okay, PE. Yeah, so I was telling you about this one video on YouTube that I've been meaning to send you the link to. It's from the same tour that I saw him at the Palace. Not Macaulay Schenker. It was when he reunited with UFO, and so they have that tour. I think they're playing in somewhere in Europe or England or something, but it's the same tour. And you got to check it out, man. It's phenomenal. Michael's phenomenal on that. Yeah, they got good old Pete on the bass. Oh, Pete is in like top rock star form. They're playing some of the new tunes off that Walk on Water. You ever hear that album, PE?
I have. Yeah, it's also great.
I haven't listened to the whole thing. I probably should. But actually, man, one of my favorite albums of all time, still to this day, is, believe it or not, UFO Obsession. How you like that one, P.E.?
It's great, although it's hard to match the energy of the double live album, Strangers in the Night. I think that's got to be my favorite.
Yeah, but you don't. I'm a producer, mate. You don't really compare live albums with studio albums. So if you were going to let's put it this way. If you were going to throw out Strangers of the Night and not count that, just the studio album.
Obsession's a great album. I'm not taking anything away from it. It's just the energy on the live album, the speed of some of the songs, I don't know, they have a better feel for me.
Okay, what's your favorite studio UFO album?
Lights Out, maybe, or Obsession might be. There's I'd say 3 or 4 in there. That
I mean, top to bottom, every single song.
Yeah, hard to deny Obsession. It's a great album.
You know what? I'd have to give maybe Lights Out maybe just a touch of an edge on it. Although there is one cover on it. I don't think there's any covers on Obsession. And it's got the peak Michael Schenker guitar sound on it, whereas like Lights Out, the rhythm guitar was actually a pig nose with a RE15 on it. I think at an angle. I've heard a long time ago somebody say in one of the magazines, probably Ron Nevison talking about it. But
I like the keyboard sound on the live album better than I like on the studio albums.
But I think the peak Michael Schenker studio sound, especially in UFO, is absolutely on Obsession. Although I've heard Tom Hamilton, the bass player of Aerosmith, when Michael was going to get in Aerosmith, they listened to Obsession, and Tom Hamilton was all, yeah, it's got all this echo reverb sound. But basically the way they did that is, I think for the solos, they said they were in some rented building or something, and it was like a really huge space with a pretty high ceiling, so I'm sure they put some microphones like pretty far away. The soloing, man, it's ferocious, snarling Michael Schenker. I love Obsession. I think maybe, I don't know, song-wise, it might be just a shade under Lights Out. The songs on it are so phenomenal on that album. But there is the one cover, which is they did it phenomenally. It worked perfectly. But the guitar sound, like I said, the rhythm guitar sound is the pig nose sound. And even Michael Schenker said he didn't like that.
Yeah, he likes that Marshall sound. And boy, he sure had that at the country club gig I saw.
But I mean, okay, if I didn't tell you that, how does the guitar sound on, say, Too Hot to Handle to you? Would you not know that's a Marshall if I didn't tell you?
I'm not sure. I think so.
No,
I can't say.
I don't know.
I can't say because I can't unhear it anymore. So.
Yeah, I botched that one. I'm a producer, mate.
Where would you put Michael in the top 3, top 5, top 10?
For me, it's just like my favorite and most influential, and who I respect his work the most, and his playing is I'd put him in probably easily top 3, probably top 2, or even. I don't know. For me, I look at Jimmy Page as kind of number 1, and then I look at Michael Schenker's work as kind of 1A. And even Michael Schenker lately, I mean, I've seen him in the last year or 2 in print. They ask him who his favorite is or who the best is, and he says Jimmy Page.
Well, of course, he's not going to say himself.
No. But that's not really the point. You know, the point is they're asking him who the guy is for him.
Right.
Like Michael Schenker's the guy for us. So who's Michael Schenker's guy? It's Jimmy Page. Props to Pagey. So and
he likes Jeff Beck too, but probably Page. Well, I see more Page influence with him than I do Jeff Beck.
Exactly, especially on the Lights Out album. I can hear it in like how the rhythm is on Over the Hills and Far Away. Damn, like on I'm a Loser, say. You know what I mean? There's the Jimmy Page Zepplin influence right there in UFO.
Yeah, I can see that.
Oh yeah, but it's so. But in a way, I mean, it is that, but it's so not that. That's why it's friggin' genius. The genius of Michael Schenker, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, Mozart reincarnated. Why the hell not? Way to go, Kel.
Yeah,
that was Kelly Rhodes telling Randy Rhodes that when Randy Rhodes had never even heard Michael Schenker. That was him. Oh, you got to check this out. And our theory is it was the Phenomenon album, which is great. It's a great album. The UFO albums are great. I think they didn't get the guitar sound dialed in until they had Ron Nevison, though. Yeah, they didn't. Like I was saying, they didn't really get the guitar sound dialed in until Nevison came in. They were they almost had it, but they were using the treble booster in front of it. That's my theory. It kind of mucks it all up. But the compositions are still there. The songs are still there. The playing is still there on those early UFO albums. But like we were saying, the one that every single song on it is a winner is Lights Out, and then probably number 2 would be Obsession. So anyway, you rock and rollers out there, you know we are big fans of Michael Schenker's work, and so I got to go along with the professor. The most underrated rock and roll musician there is. And I guess please share this video and spread the word, because it's ridiculous. Tell everybody to listen to this. We know what we're talking about. I saw Van Halen at Long Beach Arena in 1979, which we'll do a whole show. We'll do a show on Van Halen or something again. But,
and hey, listeners, post your opinions too. If you think we're wrong, you think we're right, drop down in the comments section below and let us know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. I need you guys along for the ride. Really like to have your support. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Just look at our banner picture. I mean, there's a lot of other channels that are doing this kind of content, but we do have a unique perspective, Just look at the banner picture. That is Randy Rhoads. That is an unpublished picture of Randy Rhoads because my friend took that at the Starwood. He was a very bright boy. Got to give a shout out to Ace Steel for the picture. And he's got a lot of other pictures and a lot of other history. We'll have him on. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great rock and roll shows out there. But look at the picture. We're legit. We were there. So this is Jett signing off with
The Professor and
Rock and Roll.
Rock and Roll.